Welcome back to Synopsins. Today I'm going to explain an erotic drama movie recap titled The Bad Teacher. Watch out for spoilers and enjoy the video. The scene starts off with the teachers' end-of-year get-together. They reminisce about their past academic year and end off with a surprising notice that one of their recent teachers will be resigning, Elizabeth Halsey. As she was giving a heartfelt speech, we could see that she really isn't the best person cut out to be a teacher. She neglects her students, doesn't care about her coworkers, and even smokes. The only reason why she's so confident about leaving is because she now has a wealthy fiance. However, as she was arriving at her fiance's home, she was greeted with his mother as well. He told her that they need a break because of her gold-digging nature. His mom hates Elizabeth's gut and her fiancé is just trying to mitigate the situation. However, it's clear what her true nature is when she spends $16,000 in just the past month. They broke up, and 3 months later, Elizabeth is back to John Adams Middle School. When she got back, we're introduced to an enthusiastic colleague, Amy Squirrel. Despite her trying to be welcoming, it seems like Elizabeth has no interest in being friends with anyone, unless that someone is willing to treat her for lunch. She makes it clear to herself that she needs some implants to attract single men who are rich, to the point where she'd hang out at a bar hunting men until very late. The next morning comes and she looks as devastated as ever. Also late. She couldn't care less about the class that she just let a movie play as she falls back asleep. Amy confronts her about it and gives her some unsolicited tips at lunch, which Elizabeth quickly dismisses. The school's gym teacher, Russell Geddes, tries to strike a conversation with her but immediately gets shot down. She walks off her class but then sees a very handsome and wealthy substitute teacher, Scott Delacroix. He explains that he's unmarried and just got out of a relationship recently, so recent in fact that he still has a picture of his ex-girlfriend on his phone wallpaper. After learning how Scott's ex-girlfriend has large breasts, she is even more determined to get implants. She went and consulted about the procedure and was really excited to learn the possibility. However, she was set back by the cost that amounts to $9,300. With Elizabeth's current earnings as a teacher, that will never be possible. The next morning, one of her students invites her to go for a car wash, saying they raised $6,000. Now, intrigued, Elizabeth goes to the principal's office to get permission to supervise the car wash. All dressed down, she goes to the car wash and collects tips from parents. Unfortunately, Amy was there to see Elizabeth's embezzlement. Amy walks into the men's bathroom, eager to report Elizabeth to the principal. However, since there is no hard evidence provided, the principal dismisses her claims. After an encounter in the cafeteria, it seems that Amy and Scott have mutual feelings for each other, while Elizabeth is seen as only just a friend. After knowing this, she starts befriending Russell, the gym teacher. Elizabeth then discovered from a colleague that there is an incentive for getting good scores for her students, that the teacher of the class with the highest state test scores will receive a $5,700 bonus. She becomes determined to teach and force her students to intensely study To Kill a Mockingbird. However, it's all too late. The students score low on the class book quizzes, which frustrates her even more. Desperate, she realized that the only way for her to get her class to the highest possible marks is through cheating. Do you know what else is the only way to support us? Liking and subscribing to this channel. You'll help us make more content that you love. Thank you. She got a drug that can knock someone out through connections from her roommate and plans to impersonate a journalist and seduce the state professor in charge of creating and distributing the exams, Carl Halaby. She goes out to drink with him, then convinces him to go into his office to have sex. While Carl was distracted, She drops in maybe a little too much into the class and knocks him out. She searched through his files and found it, the answer key to the coming Illinois Standard State test. A month later, Elizabeth successfully wins the bonus, which allows her to have enough to go through the breast enlargement procedure. When Elizabeth learns that Amy and Scott are chaperoning an upcoming field trip, she smears an apple with poison ivy and leaves it for Amy, who ends up with blisters covering her face and cannot go. On the trip, Elizabeth seduces Scott. They dry hump, and Elizabeth secretly leaves Amy a message through Scott's phone, recording all the action. However, Scott's ever-changing ideals disappoint Elizabeth. After her student Garrett is taunted by his classmates for confessing to an unrequited attraction to a superficial girl in the class named Chase, Elizabeth consoles him, and this prompts her to begin reflecting on her own superficial ways. Back at the school, Amy switches Elizabeth's desk with her own to trick the janitor into unlocking Elizabeth's sealed drawer. The evidence Amy finds leads her to suspect Elizabeth cheated on the state exam. Amy informs the principal and gets Carl to testify against her. However, Elizabeth took embarrassing photos of Carl while he was drugged and uses them to blackmail him to say she is innocent. Having been informed that her desk was switched, Elizabeth states that the teachers in the school used drugs. When the police brings a sniffer dog to search the school, they find Elizabeth's mini liquor bottles, marijuana, and OxyContin pills in Amy's classroom, in Elizabeth's desk. Amy is transferred to another school by the superintendent. Scott asks Elizabeth to start over, but she rejects him in favor of Russell, having learned they have a lot in common. When the new school year starts, Elizabeth has reformed. She is kinder to her coworkers, has started a relationship with Russell, and did not get her breasts enlarged because she feels that it is unnecessary now that she's with Russell. Elizabeth has a new position as the new guidance counselor, a fitting job for someone who went through her own path of transformation. Look, I'm all for people getting a second chance and all that, but this is just too much. Amy deserved better, but then again, I never like snitches. If anything, this movie is realistic to teach us that nothing in life is fair. Thanks for watching the video. Like if you like it, sub if you love it, and ring that bell so you'll never miss it.